The Peace of Paris of 1783 was the set of treaties which ended the American Revolutionary War. On 3 September 1783, representatives of King George III of Great Britain signed a treaty in Paris with representatives of the United States of America, commonly known as the Treaty of Paris, and two treaties at Versailles with representatives of King Louis XVI of France and King Charles III of Spain, commonly known as the Treaties of Versailles. The previous day, a preliminary treaty had been signed with representatives of the States General of the Dutch Republic, but the final treaty which ended the Fourth Anglo-Dutch War was not signed until 20 May 1784. For convenience, however, it is included in the summaries below. The British lost their 13 colonies and the defeat marks the end of the First British Empire. The United States gained more than it expected, thanks to the award of Western Territory. The other allies had mixed to poor results. France got its revenge over Britain after its defeat in the 7 Years' War, but its material gains were minor and its financial losses huge. It was already in financial trouble, and its borrowing to pay for the war used up all its credit and created the financial disasters that marked the 1780s. Historians link those disasters to the coming of the French Revolution. The Dutch did not gain anything of significant value at the end of the war. The Spanish had a mixed result. They conquered British West Florida, but Gibraltar remained in British hands. In the long run, the new territory was of little or no value. The path to negotiation. News of the surrender of General Cornwallis at Yorktown reached Britain late in November 1781, shortly before Parliament was due to debate the military spending estimates for the following year. The hastily revised plan was that forces in America were to be retained at their existing level, but the policy of offensive war and long campaigns away from well-supplied strongholds was to be abandoned, in favor of a new approach, details of which had to remain secret. The budget was passed by a large majority, but a few days later news was received that the British fleet in the Bay of Biscay had been able to capture only a fraction of a very large French fleet, carrying troops for invasions of British colonies around the world. Parliament immediately ordered an inquiry into the administration of the Royal Navy, to be held after the Christmas recess. At the beginning of January it was learned that French forces had begun capturing small British-held islands in the West Indies even without the help of the new fleet. So a large British fleet was sent westwards as soon as possible. Also in that month, the government appointed a new commander for the American forces, General Carleton, who had defeated the American invasion of Canada in the early phase of the war, and the colonial secretary, Lord George Sherman, was replaced by the hawkish Wilbur Ellice. The inquiry into Navy administration was followed by a parliamentary vote on 20 February in which the First Lord of the Admiralty, Lord Sandwich, narrowly escaped dismissal. The following week, Parliament voted for a guarantee of the no offensive war claim made the previous autumn, on the grounds that increased military commitment to America would, among other things, be the means of weakening the efforts of this country against her European enemies. At the beginning of March news arrived which absolutely confirmed the wisdom of this position: the loss of 2 more West Indian islands in January, and of the Mediterranean base on Minorca in February. The opposition in Parliament then began tabling motions alleging that Great Britain had no confidence in its government. The first of these was rejected by just 10 votes, another a week later by 9 votes. Hours before yet another such vote was due, on 20 March, the government leader, Lord North, persuaded the king to accept his resignation. The king's choice as replacement, Lord Shelburne, refused the post, leading to the formation of a strange new government team, nominally led by Lord Rockingham, whom the king hated, with Shelburne and Charles James Fox, who hated each other, as Secretaries of State.